Throughout time, roller coasters have come and gone. Only some become legends for their intensity and thrills. Each and every year, coaster fans like you venture to the parks, searching for that one special ride that stands out above the rest. You submitted your rankings, and now it's time to reveal the group of elite roller coasters that you have voted as the best of the best. COASTER-net Uncut is proud to present the 2018 Thrilling 32.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the final chapter of the 2018 Thrilling 32 Bracket Challenge as part of the 2017 Ride Warrior Choice Awards. It is time, Andy. It is finally time to find out which wooden roller coaster was ranked as the favorite in the Ride Warrior Choice Awards, which steel coaster was ranked as the favorite, and then, of course, the entire wood rankings, the entire steel rankings, the top 50 of each, and then the winner of the 2018 Thrilling 32 Bracket Challenge. All of that will be revealed tonight. I am Danny Miller from Binghamton, New York, alongside, as always, Andy Rabarczyk from Chicago, Illinois. And I'll tell you what, Andy, we say this every year that it is our favorite time of year when it comes time for the Ride Warrior Choice Awards and the Thrilling 32. And it really has been another great year, and the support has been bigger than ever as it's been growing each and every year, and it's been another great year. And, it kind of brings a tear to my eye that, the Thrilling 32 is ending after, weeks and weeks and weeks of all this nonsense that we've been putting up on the internets here. But, what this also means is that the Thrilling 32 is coming to an end, which means it's almost time for the theme parks to start opening because we flipped the calendar to March. So it's time for some of the parks a little farther south to start opening. And before you know it, the Cedar Fair and Six Flags parks that are, seasonal parks, and the Busch Gardens parks, and, all those parks are going to be opening. And we're going to be riding roller coasters real soon. So to celebrate, we're going to announce our champions tonight.
Well, it seems so long ago that we started this process back in.
Oh, it was.
It seems so long ago. We've gone through the Ride Warrior Choice Awards. We've collected all the data that we possibly could, and now we're finally here to reveal, after so many months of hard work and waiting in anticipation, finally finding out who are the top steel and wood coasters in the world, as voted upon by you, not by some exclusive group of voters, not by some guys, in suits sitting at a table, not by, some secret, cabal of people. This was voted upon by you, the Ride Warriors, and that's why they are indeed called the Ride Warrior Choice Awards. So tonight, we're going to find out who is the top and where all the other coasters fall. I think that, to me, is the more exciting part, to see where actually these coasters actually ranked in the top 50.
Yeah, because we had some coasters that historically have done very well in this tournament that made early exits this year. We had a lot of them. We had rides like Nemesis. We had, Wildfire was expected to do very well. A lot knocked out in the first round. Outlaw Run, a two-time champion, knocked out in the second round to El Toro, which is in our Wood Championship tonight. So, a lot of interesting things come to light when we get to the full top 50 rankings. So, but we will get to those in just a few minutes. Before we do that, we have to find out who's number one. And as always, we will start with the wood coaster bracket. And Andy, we had a big upset last week. We had the defending champion Lightning Rod from Dollywood go down to El Toro from Six Flags Great Adventure. And, many, many people shocked by that. A lot of people picked Lightning Rod to win last year, and it did. Maybe, following in the steps of Fury 325 from a year earlier, who we'll see in a few minutes on the steel side of things. So to see El Toro, which lost in the championship and was number 2 last year, second to only Lightning Rod, and Voyage came in at number 3 last year. So to see El Toro knock off Lightning Rod was a surprise last week, and now it would seem that El Toro is in the catbird seat, considering it did rank higher than Voyage for the first time last year, and it seems like in the Ride Warrior Choice Awards, there has been a shift, and you talked about the renaissance of these coasters that people have loved for many, many years, and maybe they're rediscovering as they revisit parks, or they're deciding that maybe those rides that have been around for 10 or more years maybe still are the best rides out there.
Well, I think the comment section on our YouTube channel shows you the great divide here of people. The people that are hardcore El Toro people, and there is a
there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, that the people who really believe that El Toro is the greatest wood coaster in the world. The Voyage people, a little bit quiet though. You don't hear the Voyage people on message boards a lot. But a lot of people, like you said, were shocked to see Lightning Rod go down. That a lot of people, people were saying that maybe it's the launch. Maybe it's, some people have said that it's slowed down. I know there's varying reports to that, whether or not the ride has actually slowed down, or if that's just perception amongst people.
Well, I'll let you know in 2 weeks, because hopefully I'll get to ride it with the coaster crew in a few weeks. But, we hear all sorts of different things about Lightning Rod.
So like, we have this great divide here. And like I said before, El Toro has the momentum on its side. That El Toro won the GTAs this year. Seems to be, like you said, in the catbird seat, seems to be plugging along here. But man.
Yeah, well, and
Voyage isn't an easy comer. It's not like something that you're just going to beat Voyage. This is not, a take it away here. I still think Voyage is by far the best roller coaster, probably in the entire world. So I don't understand the people that don't like it. I don't get those people. I don't understand the people that like other things better than Voyage. Like, I'm even here telling you that Voyage is better than Raptor. And that's saying something, Danny.
Yeah, I know. And I'm sitting here telling you I like Voyage better than Manta. So, I mean, we know what we're talking about, folks. But, I mean, when you look at the side-by-side here, I mean, El Toro, number 3, number 4, number 3, number 3, number 2. For the first time ever in the top 2 last year. Voyage, number 2, then number 1 in 2014, then number 2 again in 2015, and then dropped to number 3 last year behind Lightning Rod and El Toro. And for the first time ever last year was lower than El Toro. And, you mentioned that you don't see a lot of the Voyage people speaking out on the message boards. And I have a theory on why that is. Because for Voyage to constantly be in the top 2, top 3 in this poll, there's a lot of people who have to love it and have it very, very high, because that's the only way you do this well in this poll for so long. We've seen rides like, we're going to see a ride like Nemesis that dropped off because, more people wrote it, and not every single one of those people absolutely loved it. And in a poll like this, where we have so many votes and we remove the bias that polls like the Golden Tickets have, a few low votes won't knock it down completely, but it's going to knock it down just a spot or two to the point where it's not going to win. And that's maybe something that we've seen with Voyage over the years. But for us to get so many more voters, to go from 228 to 386 and to still see it here at the very end of this, tells me that even though they're not speaking up, that the Voyage fans are out there. And I don't know if it's just the people like you and me who think Voyage is just so far and away better than everything else, just say we're never going to convince those people, so we're just going to sit back in our comfy chairs and know that we're right and just sit here and be proud of that and, accept the fact that some people just don't know what they're talking about. And, that's how rides like El Toro win awards like this and, the Golden Ticket Awards. And, you said that with Storm Chaser. It's like that's how rides like Storm Chaser get in the bracket to begin with. So, we'll just sit here in our comfy chairs here knowing that Voyage is the best wooden roller coaster in the world. And that's just going to be the way it is. But Voyage and El Toro is a matchup that we've seen many, many years. We saw it last year in the semifinals, and it was El Toro that moved on. So, and the other interesting thing here before we talk about who the winner actually is, both of these rides opened in 2006, which is very interesting because at the time, going through the off season between 05, 06, Voyage was the ride getting all the hype. and everyone was talking about the Voyage, Holiday World, known for their wood coasters. It was designed by a coaster enthusiast himself. Will Cook had so many ideas that went into this ride, and the folks from Custom Coasters who formed the Gravity Group, who they've built so many great rides over the years at both companies, but rides like Ghost Rider and Raven and Legend, and rides like Rampage, all these rides that they built in their heyday, in the 90s and early 2000s, even rides like Boulder Dash, that Custom Coasters ride. So many great rides underneath that group. And then El Toro, built by Intamin, great adventure, not known for their wood coasters. Rolling Thunder was largely considered to be one of the worst wood coasters in the world for many, many years. And for a steel coaster company like Intamin to build a wood coaster, it was kind of a shot in the dark, is what a lot of people thought, and they didn't know how El Toro would perform. Well, it seems like the money was well worth it, because here it is, sitting atop this pole, for many, many years on the cusp of winning a championship. And it's one step away from being a champion for the first time in this poll.
Well, and hopefully they don't have to spend that money again on El Toro. Because
oh man, I'm glad you threw that in there, because that's funny. That's funny right there. And for those who don't get the reference, go back and watch some COASTER-net updates back from when Colossus at Heide Park in Germany was announced to be closed for the entire 2018 season. But for those of you who get that reference, you're probably laughing as much as we are right now, because that's good comedy right there. So, all right, Andy, are you ready to find out who the champion is?
I am ready.
All right. Well, the favorite wood coaster of the 2017 Ride Warrior Choice Awards is the Voyage from Holiday World. Andy, the voters did it. They did it. They got it right.
Oh man. Oh, there's a lot of crying people on the East Coast right now.
Oh man. How happy are you and I that the voters got it right this year? And you know what? And again, I had no problem with Lightning Rod winning last year, but it would have hurt me to see El Toro win this. I am so glad that Voyage has won this. Let's just put that out there.
So many people thought that this was a shoe-in for El Toro coming off the CPAs.
The YouTube comments on last week's video were outstanding. How many people, there's El Toro, no excitement in the championship.
And it's I just don't get it. This isn't even a question for me.
Nope.
Voyage is by far the superior ride. I just don't get this argument. I don't understand people. I don't know if they just haven't ridden it at night. I've rode both rides. I gave El Toro great, one evening of multiple rides over and over and over. It ran great, but still, Voyage is better. Voyage is fundamentally better.
And let's be clear here. I have not always been such and let's say this. I don't hate El Toro. I think it's a very good ride. And it's in my 20s out of 120 some wood coasters. It's not really that low on my list. I don't rank it low for the sake of ranking it low. And at one point it was a top 5 wood coaster for me personally. But I have discovered, as I've said, over the years, El Toro is a wonderful roller coaster. Love riding it. I go to Riding of the Bull every year in September, and I ride it 10, 12 times during night ERT, and I love every second of it. But for me, it's not what I want in a wood coaster. Yeah. Voyage has everything that I want in a wooden roller coaster, which is why I think Voyage should win this poll and other polls. And it doesn't win other polls because it's too much of a polarizing roller coaster. Some people don't like its intensity. That's what I love about it. Some people don't like that it shakes you around a little bit because it's a man's wood coaster. Yeah. I mean, it does everything a good wood coaster ought to do, and that's what I love about it. That's what you love about it. That's why we love it so much.
And on the flip side, El Toro does everything that a steel coaster is supposed to do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That when you start breaking down El Toro, I love El Toro. It's in my top 10 wood coasters. It is. But it rides like a steel coaster. And the problem is that when it rides like a steel coaster and you start comparing it to other steel coasters, I don't think it holds up very well in that comparison. But if you were to do a combined list, I don't know if El Toro is as highly ranked as some other steel coasters. Is it a great ride? Yes. Is it a wood coaster? Technically, yes.
Yeah.
Does it ride like a wood coaster? No. And that's why I think things like Prowler and Mystic Timbers and Lightning Rod and Voyage are superior to El Toro in every sense of the word. That's my opinion. So there you go.
Yeah, and that's why I prefer rides like the ones you mentioned, and like your Rampages and your Legends and your Gold Strikers and rides like that. That's why I prefer those rides to El Toro. Not saying it's right or wrong, but that's that's
it is what it is.
And I get one vote, just like you get one vote, and just like the other 384 people who voted in this year's Ride Warrior Choice Awards also get a vote. And this was, I know we're going to get a lot of comments. They're probably piling up down below us here, the people who don't like this. And I need to go on a rant here for just one quick moment, because I find it ironic, because for many, many years, people have complained about the Golden Ticket Awards, and they've complained that they never change. And over time, they change slowly over time. I mean, a park that serves good food or that has good customer service is very unlikely to just stop doing that. So you might have changes over time as people visit new parks or more parks. A good wooden roller coaster is very unlikely to just stop being a good roller coaster all of a sudden. Maybe over time it'll deteriorate and it'll slowly drop. But the amount of people this past week who have been coming at us for our that seem to think that we hate El Toro, which we don't, and telling us that it won the golden tickets and that's why it should also win our poll, don't understand what we're trying to do here. Because these are the same people who are bitching and moaning that the golden tickets don't change every year, but then as soon as it's possible that you don't get your way, all of a sudden you want the golden tickets back and you want their results. We're not the Golden Ticket Awards. We're not the Mitch Hawker poll. We're the Ride Warrior Choice Awards. We do the awards as fairly as we can. We give everyone a say. We give everyone a fair say, okay? Not necessarily an equal say, because someone who's ridden 800 roller coasters, maybe you should look at them a little differently than someone who's ridden 10, and that's okay. But we give everyone a fair vote. We give everyone a fair, a fair crack at giving their vote. Everyone gets one vote, and we have methods in place to make sure people don't vote more than once. And we have an algorithm. We decided on it many, many, many years ago before this poll started. We've used that same algorithm year over year, and at the end we put all the votes in and it spits out the results, and that's what we go with. Okay? We don't manipulate these in any way. This is what the 386 people who voted this year have decided on. And when the Steel Coaster results come out in a few minutes, same thing. That's what the 386 voters this year decided was their favorite roller coaster. So congratulations to Voyage from Holiday World on being the favorite wood roller coaster from the 2017 Ride Warrior Choice Awards. And I will tell you that El Toro was number 2 this year. And we will see the full rankings. So congratulations to Voyage and El Toro for being 1-2 this year. So El Toro, number 2 for the second straight year. That's certainly not something to go unrecognized.
Well, Danny, I'm tired of talking about the minor leagues. Let's get to the coasters that matter here. And let's get to the steel rankings. All
right. Sorry, I'm excited here that Voyage has finally won this poll after a 3-year hiatus. The crown has come home. All right, let's get to the steel coasters here. Our championship matchup, a rematch, and an opportunity for the first ever repeat champion in either side of this poll. We've got Expedition G-Force from Germany's Holiday Park, the defending champion, going up against the defending runner-up and the champion from 2 years ago, Fury 325 from Carowinds in Charlotte, North Carolina. This one is so tough because last year the margin of victory was the smallest ever in the history of the poll at 0.02%. And Andy, this year we've got the second closest in the history of the poll. We've got it separated by 0.07%. And I will tell you once again that these two coasters were number 1 and number 2, and again have come in at the narrowest of margins that we could possibly have with this algorithm. The last 2 years, these two rides have battled it out, and for the past 2 years, it could not be closer.
Well, Danny, here's another fine example of me not understanding people. And we have detractors out there that people are upset at what rides place and what rides move on, and like we said, it's a fair vote is what we give you. You get one fair vote. And me personally, I don't think a ride like Expedition G-Force should be in this discussion for best 2 rides in the world. Great. You can criticize me for all you want, saying, "Oh, well, you haven't rode it," blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, I don't. From the people that I know, from the people that I've talked to, from the stuff I've seen, I don't think Expedition G-Force should be in this discussion. However, here we are, Danny Miller.
Here we are again for the second straight year.
So,
here it is.
So yes, the problem is do I agree with this? No, but here we are, and I believe that the voters have spoken, that we have seen Expedition G-Force win last year, even though I don't think it should have. I see Fury 325 once again in the discussion, which I think is one of those great roller coasters that you always have the 2 camps. It's always the Intamin versus B&M fanboys. Yeah. That the Intamin fanboys all about the intensity and the airtime, and the B&M people about the floater air and the graceful hills. I think personally Fury marries those 2 things together. That the first half of the ride, you have the great intensity. You have that ejector air coming out of those turnarounds. You have the speed and the laterals. And then on the second half, you get the traditional B&M floater. It's almost like a second movement in a concerto or something. I know nothing about music, so if it's not a concerto, please don't post that down below. I don't know what the hell that is. So,
a sonnet. Something.
I know that's a poem, so the concerto. So anyway, I feel like it's a second movement, and that you have those 2 great things that people always want in a roller coaster, and they're married together. Some people may not like that. Some people may not want, they want something that's all the same and intensity throughout, or floater air throughout. But what I think makes Fury great is the fact that it combines those 2 pieces and puts them into one ride. I think it's a near perfect ride. And there's only one thing that could make it more perfect, Danny Miller, and you know what it is.
The Leviathan Speed Hill.
It's the Leviathan Speed Hill.
Well, that's what made Iron Rattler the correct choice in the Raptor Universe bracket a few years ago. Yeah. You remember that? Oh, man. Yeah, and I'll tell you what. I think what we're seeing here is we're seeing the wood coasters with Lightning Rod being thrown in there, last year. Really kind of, I think we were seeing like Outlaw Run, Voyage, and El Toro. It was those 3. And then Lightning Rod kind of threw a wrench in all that because Outlaw Run dropped a little bit. And now it's kind of those 3. El Toro, Voyage, Lightning Rod. It's kind of a 3-way coin flip between those 3, I feel like, at this point for the wood coasters. The steel now, the last 2 years, we've had this coin flip between Fury and Expedition G-Force because they're so close. And, I'm interested to see, everyone and their brother already has Steel Vengeance ranked at number 1, and the damn thing isn't even open yet. So, well, who knows how that's going to affect this next year. But I'll tell you what, that notwithstanding, I think we're seeing the solidification as these 2 rides as the top 2. And, barring a ride like Steel Vengeance breaking into the top 2, which I don't know if that happens, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't continue to see these 2 right at the top of the heap.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Because I feel like Steel Vengeance is probably going to be discussed in the top 5 rides.
It might be, but will it be number 1 or number 2? I don't know. It's both of these rides, with how many people we've had voting from overseas and people who have traveled overseas, these 2 rides have so many riders and so many voters that, and again, I want to emphasize that doesn't help them it doesn't hurt them to have more riders. It solidifies where they are in the rankings, because the more people have ridden a ride, that doesn't mean it gets more points, but it also has more possible points. Yeah. So the percentage changes less as more votes come in for a particular ride. So as more voters ride a certain ride, it solidifies its space in the list, whether it's good or bad. And then new votes affect it less. And these two rides have so many riders and so many riders who have ridden a lot of roller coasters that their standings are really, really solidified here at the top. It's going to be very, very difficult to topple either one of these in the top two in the future, I think. I really think that we might see these two going head-to-head for many, many years to come.
I think you're right. It'll be interesting to see. It really will. But the future is later. The present is now. And I want to know who wins this year, Danny Miller.
All right. Well, as I said, the second slimmest of margins of victory, only second to last year's battle between these two, where it was Expedition G-Force by 0.02%. This year, it was 0.07%. The second place ride with 98.65%. The first place with 98.72 percentage points. The Ride Warriors Choice Award for favorite steel roller coaster in 2017 is Fury 325 from Carowinds takes the crown back from Expedition G-Force after losing it a year ago. Fury 325 is back on top of the Ride Warrior Choice Awards from the 2017 season. And Andy, I think you and I are pretty happy with this one as well. I mean, you know, neither of us have ridden Expedition G-Force. I'll let Rob Dole know that hopefully I'll get to ride it in 2019 when I go over to – I paid my deposit this week with the Coaster Crew, so I am locked in to go on that trip in 2019. And it's going to be really, really exciting if we do get to ride Expedition G-Force, because we'll finally get to see what all the hype is about, because once again, these rides were number one and number two. So it'll be really, really exciting to see what all the fuss is about Expedition G-Force to be in the top two in this poll. Again, like we said with El Toro, to be in the top two for 2 straight years is nothing to shake a stick at. But congratulations to both rides. Expedition G-Force at Holiday Park and Fury 325 at Carowinds for the Ride Warriors Choice Award for favorite steel roller coaster in 2017.
It's outstanding. You know, Fury, such an amazing ride. You know, won this in its very first debut year. You know, came in at number one. People were shocked by it. Took a little drop last year, but now reclaiming that number one spot. Like you said, I think Fury is a ride that we're going to see talked about for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, and you know, before we get into the full rankings, I will say this. If I know there's a lot of people out there right now who, especially on the wood side of things, are not liking the results that we've announced tonight. Here's the solution. Vote.
Yeah.
Vote. Because you get a voice. You get a voice. And yes, if like you said, if you've already voted, tell your friends. Tell your friends that like rides like you do, and don't tell your friends that don't like rides that you do. I'll find those people who like Voyage. I'll get those people to vote. Don't worry. Send me their email. I'll get them to vote. but no, seriously. Tell everyone you know who rides roller coasters to take part in this poll. Get more people to vote. Word of mouth has been the best way that we have grown this poll. We haven't paid a marketing firm to do marketing. It's been Andy and I throwing it out there to different groups, Facebook groups, coaster groups, just different people we know. And that's how we've gotten to this amazing number and this amazing support that we have. It's all word of mouth. That is the best way to get people to vote in this poll, because it's for everyone and anyone. Anyone can vote, whether you've ridden 1,000 roller coasters or 10, and everyone gets a vote that matters. And I can confidently say that one vote could have swayed either of these results. If we would have gotten 387 voters, the results might have been different. If we would have gotten 385 voters, the results might have been different. We'll never know. But, you know, it's outstanding, the support. So if you don't like the results from this year's poll, vote. And if you've already voted, get your friends to vote.
Absolutely.
That's the best thing to do here. So, Andy, are you ready to take a look at the top 50 wood coasters from the Ride Warrior Choice Awards 2017?
I am absolutely ready.
All right, well, we'll start with number 50 and we'll work our way up to number 1. Coming in at number 50, the Twister at Gröna Lund in Sweden, a small little Gravity Group wood coaster there. Number 49, the Kennywood Thunderbolt. Number 48, Apocalypse from Six Flags Magic Mountain. Number 47, Joris and de Draak from Efteling over in the Netherlands. GCI Racing Wood Coaster, for those of you who don't know. Number 46, the Santa Cruz Giant Dipper. Number 45, Kentucky Rumbler, a Thrilling 32 coaster from a year ago. Number 44, another former Thrilling 32 coaster, the Cornball Express from Indiana Beach. Number 43, the Boss from Six Flags St. Louis. Number 42, Rorosaurus from Storyland in New Hampshire. Number 41, the Grand National from England's Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Number 40, the Twister from Knoebels Amusement Resort in Elysburg, Pennsylvania. Number 39, Wooden Warrior from Quasi in Middlebury, Connecticut. Number 38, Switchback from ZDT's Amusement Park. That's one that maybe you disagree with, and hopefully one I'll get to ride this year. But Switchback at ZDT's coming in at number 38. I'll let you give your thoughts on that in a minute. Number 37, the Coney Island Cyclone from Luna Park in Brooklyn, New York. Number 36, Timber Terror from Silverwood Theme Park in Idaho. It's bigger brother Tremors was in the Thrilling 32 this year, so we see Timber Terror in here as well. Number 35, we see White Lightning from Fun Spot in Orlando pop up, a former Thrilling 32 coaster. Number 34 is Lightning Racer from Hershey Park. And Andy, one that we speculated highly on, whether or not it would get in, and I said if it got in, it would barely squeak in because it was a love it or hate it ride. The first ride out this year at number 33 was Mind Blower at Fun Spot Kissimmee in Florida. What are your thoughts?
That's an interesting one. And that's one that people keep talking real highly about. So
that's a great ride. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you what. It was an awesome ride.
Maybe as more people get down there, we'll see some of those initial first, detractors fall off, or you might see it drop even more. You don't really know. Just from this group, looking at it, the only ones that really jump out at me are Cyclone. I think that's a little bit better than what people think it is, especially after the retracking that's been done on it.
Yeah, the Coney Island Cyclone is always a great ride.
Switchback, I was not a fan of at all. I don't understand the hoopla over Switchback, besides the fact that it's at a small park that's outside of a city that most enthusiasts don't get to. That seems to be the only thing that going for it.
Yeah.
I don't understand Switchback at all. I rode it a handful of times, and I was just like, I don't get this ride. It's a nice ride. It's a fun ride. Is it a top 50 ride? No.
Yeah, I'm excited to get a chance to ride Switchback, and because I've heard largely varying opinions on it, and I think Switchback, much like Mind Blower, kind of suffers from that a little bit. Although Mind Blower, I think is a ride that we can expect to see in the Thrilling 32 with time. I don't know if it'll ever be a contender for a championship, just because I think there's too many people who don't like it. But I honestly think that Mind Blower will have a day in the near future where it is in the Thrilling 32. For the most part, I don't think there's any big surprises here. A lot of former Thrilling 32 rides that we've seen fall out, with some new rides coming in. We see some other rides that we haven't seen in the past because we've gotten more overseas voters. We see Joris and de Draak coming in here. We see Twister from Gröna Lund. Both of those rides get very high praise from a lot of our European friends and people who have been over there. The Grand National, a ride that I rode back in October on the UK trip, one that I very much enjoyed, the Grand National. The crown jewel, if you ask me, of the Blackpool Wood Coaster collection. And Timber Terror, a ride at Silverwood that you and I are, we're going to try and get out there this year and ride Tremors and Timber Terror. So maybe both of those rides maybe Timber Terror finds its way into the Thrilling 32 next year.
Stop. No, it won't even be in the top 50 after I rank it.
Well, I don't know about that. I think Timber Terror might be your kind of ride, but we'll see. We'll see. Any final thoughts on the 50 here before we get into the Thrilling 32 and see where the 32 ranked?
No, not really.
All right. Well, let's get to the Thrilling 32 then. Coming in at number 32, we knew this already, the Wild Mouse from Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Number 31, the Raven from Holiday World. Number 30, Colossus from Hyde Park. It'll be interesting to see where that moves in the coming years after it gets its refurbishment done, see if it goes up or goes down. At 29, we see Cuchulainn come in from Tato Park in Ireland. Number 28, we see Ghost Rider from Knott's Berry Farm, which worked its way back in to the Thrilling 32, and I think that's one we should expect to see rise as more people get to ride the new version of Ghost Rider. I'm hoping to ride the new Ghost Rider this year.
I would hope so, because that's really, really low for that ride. That's way too low for a ride of the caliber of Ghost Rider.
Yeah. Coming in at number 27, your favorite ride of all time, the Beast from Kings Island. Number 26 is where we see T-Express from Everland in South Korea come in here at 80.45%. Number 25, American Thunder. American Thunder is just that – we talked about that in the slide. American Thunder is that ride that never really makes a lot of noise, but it's always in there. It's always right in there in the mid-20s. The Thrilling 32 debut of the Boardwalk Bullet sees it come in at number 24. And then just above it, the ride that beat it, number 23, Legend from Holiday World. And number 22, we see Hades 360 come into the mix. And then at number 21, we see Tremors from Silverwood in Idaho. Number 20, we see Thunderhead from Dollywood. Number 19 is Vodon Timber Coaster from Germany's Europa Park. Number 18, Prowler, coming in at 18 this year, a little low on the list for most people, I think. And at number 17, we see Renegade from Valleyfair, which another one I think maybe a tad low for Renegade, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think both those rides, both Renegade and Prowler, are probably need to be a little higher. I'm curious to see, which ones actually came in the top, 16 here, because there's a lot of fine rides here from 17 to 32.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to the top 16. At number 16, we see Goliath from Six Flags Great America. Number 15 is Shivering Timbers from Michigan's Adventure. Number 14, we see Troy from Toverland. So Troy had a very successful first appearance in Thrilling 32, coming in at number 14. Rampage, last year's Cinderella, which was number 5 last year, drops to 13 this year. It was 14 2 years ago, so I think we see Rampage kind of solidify a spot there. Yeah. I think we'll kind of see it stay in that area. Number 12, we see Balder from Liseberg in Sweden. Number 11, the Coaster from PNE Playland, which, that's the ride that always seems to be, high up there that a lot of people don't know about. And that's one that you and I are maybe looking at possibly getting to ride this coming year or within the next year or two. So I'm intrigued with that ride for sure to see just what that ride's all about. Now we get to the top 10. And number 10 is Ravine Flyer 2 from Waldemere Park in Erie, Pennsylvania. Number 9 is where we see Wildfire from Kolmarden Wildlife Park in Sweden come in. And you can see here as we get up losing to Mystic Timbers in the first round, which ended up just a few spots higher. Number 8, we see the Phoenix from Knoebels Amusement Resort in Elysburg, Pennsylvania. Then we have a nice big gap between the number 8 and the number 7 coaster. Number 7 is Gold Striker from California's Great America. And then we see Mystic Timbers, the Cinderella from this year, new for 2017, the favorite new ride of the Ride Warrior Choice Awards. Very successful first season, coming in at number 6. Outlaw Run jumping back up this year, going from number 8 to number 5, working its way back into the top 5. And I see Outlaw Run get back up there. Then we see another big gap between Outlaw Run and the number 4 coaster, Boulder Dash, just sitting right there at the number 4 spot. And then another big gap between number 4 Boulder Dash and number 3 Lightning Rod, last year's champion, dropping to number 3 this year. And by a considerable margin, too, almost a full percentage point behind number 2 this year. Number 2, El Toro at 95.45. And, of course, number one at 95.54 percentage points this year, the Voyage from Holiday World, our champion this year. Surprises, thoughts, concerns with the top 32?
Well, Mystic Timbers, as we said, has been the talk of a lot of comments as of late, and a lot of people saying that Mystic Timbers is overrated. This obviously says otherwise, that a lot of people who wrote...
386 people, can't be wrong.
Yeah, that a lot of people said that Mystic Timbers is a fine roller coaster and moves all the way into number 6. And I think we saw this happen with Banshee, though. But I think, personally, Mystic Timbers is going to have more staying power than Banshee did.
I think it's there to stay.
I think just the fact that it's, wood coasters, people tend to rank and keep those rankings a certain way. I think with steel coasters, you see a lot more fluctuation as you add more voters into the pool. And I think Banshee dropped, rightfully so probably. But here, Mystic Timbers, I think we're going to be talking about this ride. The question is, does it move up from this point, or does it settle into here or maybe into a slightly lower spot? I don't know. I personally don't think we're going to see it move up much higher than number 6, though.
No, we talked about with Mystic Timbers and how the Voyage, El Toro, Lightning Rod, Boulder Dash, and Outlaw Run crowd, and Gold Striker and Rampage has been a top 5 ride, and Phoenix and Ravine Flyer. I mean, that's a very crowded top 5, top 10 group there. And now we're seeing Mystic Timbers jump in there, and we're seeing Wildfire jump in there at number 9. I mean, you can see the Mystic Timbers and Wildfire had an effect on Rampage. It dropped down below all those rides. And, rides like Ravine Flyer and Gold Striker and Phoenix jumped back up above Rampage this year. So, the top 10 coaster list on the wood side is getting very crowded with a lot of rides that people put as their number 1. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that, RMC isn't done making coasters. Like, they seem to be making really fine wood coasters. And I just have a feeling that we're going to see a few more that could get added to this. And, of course, GCI is always in the talks of it. We keep hinting at maybe a Cedar Point GCI on the beach. Who knows? It could be, a Gravity Group coaster. But if Cedar Point does a wood coaster anywhere, you have to imagine that it would be somewhere on this list and somewhere pretty high on this list. So... Well, this list isn't going to get any less crowded, to be honest with you.
No, it's not. And, if we look at the manufacturers here, just at the top 16, I mean, you got Voyage, Boulder Dash, Ravine Flyer, Rampage, and Shivering Timbers, all built by either, Custom Coasters or Gravity Group, the same general group of engineers. So you got 5 of those. If you look at the GCIs, you've got Mystic Timbers, you've got Gold Striker, and then you also see Troy. So you've got 3 GCIs in here. You look at the RMCs, you see Lightning Rod, see El Toro, both in the top 5. Then you see Wildfire, and then you go down a little further, you see Goliath at 16. So you got 4 RMCs. You've got a couple of Intamins. You've got El Toro, and then you've got Balder as well. And then you've got a couple of, coasters from smaller parks like Phoenix. And, you see Coaster from P&E in here. And, it's a very crowded list here. And for the most part, I mean, the top 16 here and even the top 32, we've talked about it, getting more and more voters allows more and more rides to meet the minimum rider requirement, which allows them to get in here. I mean, even going down to the bottom half of the 32, you've got rides like Renegade, Prowler, Thunderhead. I mean, these are all rides that have done very, very, very well in the past year. I mean, we're getting the results we want because it's getting tougher and tougher to accept these results because we see a lot of damn good roller coasters, down in the 20s and whatnot here. Rides like Legend and, Raven at 31. Ghost Rider, like you said, down at 28. I mean, that's very, very tough.
Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see where the wood coasters go from here. But once again, history should be your guide. And this year was a little bit of an anomaly with some rides. But in general, your top 4 are your top 4. And
When push comes to shove, I mean, it's the same top 4 or 5 there. The last couple of years. I mean, we say to be the man, you've got to beat the man. And Voyage didn't beat Lightning Rod this year head to head, but it did rank higher. So Fury beat Expedition G-Force head to head. And I'll segue over to the Steel top 50. Off of that note, let's take a look at the top 50 here. Coming in at number 50, Alpengeist from Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Number 49, Accelerator from Knott's Berry Farm. Number 48, Afterburn from Carowinds. Number 47, Superman Krypton Coaster from Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Number 46, Ride of Steel from Darien Lake. And how about this one? I am happy to see this one here. Number 45, The Ultimate from Lightwater Valley. A ride that got very glowing reviews from our group that went to the UK. And historically has not qualified in terms of meeting the minimum ridership in past years, but has always gotten high votes in the previous years. So, a lot of our friends from the Coaster Crew voting this year, giving the Ultimate enough riders to qualify, and it turns out to do quite well in its first year being eligible in the top 50 here. Number 44, Top Thrill Dragster from Cedar Point. Number 43 is where we see Manta from SeaWorld Orlando, and I'm not going to point out that Raptor's not on this list.
Whatever.
Number 42, Storm Runner from Hershey Park. Number 41, Monster from Adventureland, a ride that you and I highly speculated might make the Thrilling 32 this year, and it did not, but Monster comes in at 41. I think Monster is a ride to watch. Knowing that Cannibal made the Thrilling 32 this year, I think Monster is one that could find its way into the Thrilling 32 in the coming years as more people get to ride it. And if they like it, it'll go up. If they don't, it'll go down. Yeah. But I think people will like Monster as they ride it more. Number 40, Lightning Run from Kentucky Kingdom. Number 39, Tatsu from Six Flags Magic Mountain. The ride that I predicted to drop out from the Thrilling 32. Yeah. Number 38, Intimidator from Carowinds. Number 37, Thunderbird from Holiday World, dropping out this year. Number 36, your prediction to drop out, Apollo's Chariot from Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. How about this? Number 35, The Swarm from Thorpe Park in the UK. A lot of people liking The Swarm, especially, again, on that Coaster Crew trip. You can see that having an effect as The Swarm was received very positively by our entire group. Number 34, Kumba from Busch Gardens, Tampa, just missing out on the Thrilling 32. And the first ride out this year, a ride that we also speculated about, the Joker from Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, RMC Iron Horse, just missing out at number 33.
Well, you look at this grouping here, and a lot of previous top 32 rides just missing out in this grouping here. That
Kumba, Apollo's Chariot, Thunderbird, Intimidator, Tatsu, Lightning Run, Dragster, Manta, Storm Runner, Ride of Steel, Krypton, Afterburn, Accelerator, Alpengeist, all rides that have been in the Thrilling 32 in the past couple of years.
So you see, when we talked earlier about people changing the vote, this is directly resulting from more people voting in overseas rides, European rides, and everything else that goes with it. Plus, you have the addition of all the new rides coming out. So this is the ultimate result of that. Some fine rides right outside of the 32 here. I'm
not really a bad roller coaster in that bunch.
No, all very good roller coasters to above average. I'm a little surprised by Monster. I think I'm right with you, where as more people get to Adventureland, I think Monster's going to move up the list. However, the issue now is that hang time at Knott's Berry is not it's somewhat similar. It's not exactly similar, but I wonder if hang time is going to divert people away from taking a trip out to Iowa.
Well, and I think it's going to be interesting to see where Cannibal comes in on this list, because we know it beat Diamondback in the first round. Yeah. So let's take a look at the Thrilling 32 Steel list here and see where they placed. Number 32 is Goliath from La Ronde in Montreal. Number 31 is Banshee from Kings Island. Banshee almost sliding out altogether this year.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Number 30 is Nitro from Six Flags Great Adventure. Number 29 is Goliath from Wallaby Holland, the formerly green Goliath, now the blue Goliath, as people know it. Number 28, Diamondback, Kings Island, falling all the way down to number 28 this year. And similarly, number 27 is Behemoth from Canada's Wonderland. So those two rides grouped together by the voting pool. Number 26 is where we see Storm Chaser, so dropping a little bit from last year's ranking of number 24. And number 25 is Montu from Busch Gardens, Tampa. Number 24, Schwer des Kernen from Hansa Park in Germany. So, again, a ride that is somewhat similar to a ride like Monster or Cannibal or Hang Time. So, we'll very interesting to see that ride that high up at number 24. Speaking of Cannibal, number 23 is Cannibal from Lagoon in Farmington, Utah. Number 22 is Blue Fire Mega Coaster from Germany's Europa Park. Number 21, New Texas Giant, dropping down a little bit. That has been a top 10 ride for many, many years, dropping all the way down to number 21. Number 20 is Phantom's Revenge from Kennywood in West Mifflin, Pennsylvania. Number 19 is where we see Medusa Steel Coaster from Six Flags Mexico coming to the fray. Number 18, Nemesis from Alton Towers, dropping from number 6 down to 18. So again, not that it's a bad ride. Number 18 is very, very good in this poll, especially considering all the new rides we had this year. But it shows you just a few people who maybe not so hot on a particular ride can knock it down a few spots.
But, Danny, I also have to say Nemesis has been one of these contenders in the top of our poll. Now, all of a sudden, as more people start riding it that have ridden American coasters, all of a sudden it starts dropping down the poll. And it begs the question of, how many of these other European coasters are overranked because not many people have ridden them yet, or not people who have voted who have ridden them yet, and a small percentage of the population of voters is actually determining a high ranking for these rides. And Nemesis, to me, I don't know. I kind of think it doesn't bode well for the future as more of the voting pool might get out to Europe over the next few years.
Well, and we've seen, like, the same thing with Blue Fire. Blue Fire at one time was a top 10 ride in this poll a few years ago, and now it's down in the 20s. Yes. So, I mean, it stands to reason that some of these other rides might drop off maybe as people who have ridden more rides get over to these rides. We haven't seen Tyrone, Helix, or Smiler yet. These rides that, that we talked about during the selection show. So we'll see where those rides come in. And number 17 this year is X2 from Six Flags Magic Mountain.
Way too low.
Too low.
Way too low for that.
Too low. I agree with you.
That's ridiculously low.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the top 16. Number 16 is Mako from SeaWorld Orlando. And I thought that I thought Mako would do very, very well, and it does do very well this year. Number 15 is where we see Smiler come in from the UK's Alton Towers. Number 14, Goliath from Six Flags Over Georgia. Hanging strong is Goliath, the top 10 ride last year, just outside at number 14 this year. Number 13 is Leviathan from Canada's Wonderland. We saw it at number 12 last year, so it stays right in that area. Number 12, Superman the Ride from Six Flags New England, dropping off quite a bit this year, dropping down outside of the top 10. Number 11 is Millennium Force, dropping down from number 5 down to number 11 this year. So Millennium Force having a bit of a down year. We've seen that in the past, not quite as low as it's been in the past, but Millennium Force outside the top 10. All right, top 10 time. Here we go. Number 10, Wicked Cyclone from Six Flags New England. Number 9, Iron Rattler from Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Number 8, Sky Rush from Hershey Park. I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised Sky Rush is that high. I did not expect Sky Rush to be that high, especially after losing to Terran. But as you can see here, Terran having a very successful showing. So. Number 7, Twisted Colossus from Six Flags Magic Mountain.
Very high for that ride.
Very high, very high. I think a little too high in my opinion. Maverick dropping from number 4 to number 6, Maverick from Cedar Point. Look at this. 2 of these rides that went head-to-head for a spot in the final 4 in the top 5. Helix from Sweden's Liseberg at number 5. Very, very good for Helix. Number 4, Intimidator 305 from King's Dominion, dropping down number 4, the lowest it's ever been, ironically enough. Number 3, Terran from Fantasialand. How about that? And again, much like with Blue Fire and Nemesis, it'll be interesting as more people go to ride Terran, since it is a newer ride, especially, again, Rob Dole should be on the list for our trip in 2019. Over to
Well, and traditionally, new rides tend to fare well in this system.
They do, because they don't require as many high votes to keep them up higher because of our algorithm. And that's the nice thing, again, about our algorithm is as more people ride rides, they have the potential to move up or move down depending on where those people vote. So based on the people who have ridden Terran and Helix thus far and voted this year, they all speak very highly of it. If more people ride Terran and Helix and they like it, they will solidify these rankings. If they're not so hot on Terran and Helix, we'll see them drop down like we've seen rides like Nemesis and Blue Fire do over the past several years.
Yeah.
Number 2, as we know, Expedition G-Force at 98.65%. And your champion on the steel side of things, 2017 Ride Warrior Choice Awards, Fury 325 from Carowinds at 98.72%. Andy, I can't say I have too many issues with this. I think Twisted Colossus is a little high for me. I think Millennium Force is maybe a little low for me. I think Nemesis is maybe a little bit low for me. But for the most part, I understand the voting here. Storm Chaser a little high for me. We've talked about that before. But generally, I think there's a pretty good list here you're looking at.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty
You've got a lot of the perennial favorites, and you've got a couple of oddballs. You got a couple of new rides that kind of make you want to go ride some new rides.
Personally, comparing this to my list, there's a lot of differences. But I kind of see, the voting pool speaking highly of certain rides in certain regions. I think that's where you get the Twisted Colossuses from. You get the Cannibals from.
Yep.
You get, and on the flip side, overseas, you get, Terran and Expedition G-Force and Smiler. So it's a very good mix of things. Personally, I could take or leave Wicked Cyclone being so high at number 10. People have now said that that the former Bizarro, the now current Superman, who was once the best ride in the world, not even the best ride in the park, according to this poll.
Yeah, that you know what? I didn't think about that, but you're right. In the past, Superman has always been ahead of Wicked Cyclone, but this year they flip-flop, and Wicked Cyclone has taken over as the top ride in that park in the Ride Warrior Choice Awards. Good catch. I honestly did not catch that. You're very right about that.
An interesting switch, and and I always like looking back at the things we agonized over, during the different shows, and we agonized over the Maverick Millennium Force, and we see that was a clear victory on Maverick's end. We agonized over Terran and Skyrush, and we said, hey, who's going to come out of this region? And everyone thought it was going to be Skyrush, and we see Terran, coming in strong in this poll.
Yeah.
Always interesting to see where things ultimately fall on this top 50 list. But, like you said, a good mix from all around the world, a good mix of different types of coasters. I think we see a trend, though, towards the more intense rides that you look at the top 10. And the only B&M is at the top. And that B&M is one that doesn't really follow the traditional B&M format, I would argue.
Yeah. I mean, if we do the same thing we did for the wood coasters here and go through the top 16, if you're looking for B&Ms, you've got Fury, Leviathan, Goliath, Mako, you've got 4. If you're looking at Intamins, you've got Expedition G-Force, you've got Terran, you've got Intimidator 305, you've got Maverick, you've got Skyrush, you've got Millennium Force, you've got Superman. So that right there, that's 7. And then if you want to look at some RMCs, you go down, you get to Twisted Colossus, Iron Rattler, Wicked Cyclone. And then what else we got? We got a Gershlauer and Smiler. We've got mock rides with Helix. I got them all right.
Yep.
So I mean, you've got a good mix, but again, the cream rises to the top here. You've got a lot of Intamins, a lot of B&Ms, and you've got a handful of RMCs. That makes up a lot of what you got there. But generally speaking, again, a lot of good rides, a lot of outstanding rides on this list.
Well, I guess the last thing to do tonight is to crown our bracket.
Well, before we do that, before we do that, we do have to take care of one other order of business. Now, we did not need the tiebreaker, as I'm sure our champion already knows, but we do want to. We already specified the one tiebreaker was what was the mistake last year, and that was that Intimidator from Carowinds beat X2 when in fact it should not have. X2 did rank higher. We had people, we had people calling the cops on us. They showed up to my house, Andy, because they were upset. And we said, we'll get to it. We'll address it in a future show. We addressed it in this year's Thrilling 32 as the tiebreaker question, and to the folks' credit, lots of people knew that was the mistake last year. There was one other small one. On the one slide where we had Phantom's Revenge, it actually had Canada's Wonderland. I forgot to delete that because I had copy and pasted it from a Leviathan slide and did not type Kennywood in there, so we had a few people catch that as well. But the other tiebreaker was where did Manta and Raptor rank in the Thrilling 32. Now, we've seen Manta coming in at number 43, but no Raptor. So, Raptor came in at 470. No, I'm kidding.
Such an asshole.
No, Raptor comes in at number 66 this year.
What is wrong with these voters? See, this is what I'm talking about.
Now, hold on. That is higher than Talon.
Well, yeah.
That is higher than Nemesis Inferior from Thorpe Park. It is higher than Raging Bullshit. It is, so to give you an idea of some of the other rides around it, that was at number 66. Dragon Challenge in its final year of operation came in at number 59. Magnum XL 200, number 56. The Incredible Hulk.
What's wrong with people?
52 for Incredible Hulk. Look at this. Superman El Ultimo Escape from Six Flags Mexico, number 62, which is another ride we heard a lot about.
All of these rides should be in the 32.
Full Throttle, 63. Black Mamba, 64. Desperado, 65. And then Raptor, 66.
The voters, I don't know.
Are there any rides that you in particular want to know where they rank, just out of curiosity? Patriot, number 98.
Patriot. Oh, Fly High Patriot.
Fly High Patriot. I'm just going down the list, see if there's any interesting ones that we've seen in the past that were really high and dropped off.
Not really. I think
for the most part, we've got Thunder Dolphin 111.
Oh, I love a good Thunder Dolphin ride.
Yeah, good Thunder Dolphin ride. Verbolten number 84. Gatekeeper 82.
It's a fine ride.
Yeah. Okay. So that's there's some of the rides that you're maybe curious about. Now we've got one other order of business, and that is to crown our champion. And of course, our champion, as we kind of discussed in the last show, if I get up the standings here, is Joseph. So congratulations to Joseph, if that is your real name, coming in with 161 points. He had every selection right after the first two rounds. He had both Elite Eights correct. He had both Final Fours correct. He had both finalists correct. And, not the Elite Eight. He had the Wood Elite Eight correct, and he had 6 out of 8 in the Steel. He had both Final Fours correct. He had both championship games correct, and he had both champions correct. So 161 total points. 51 picks total correct, 51 picks correct, which was not the highest total, actually. Believe it or not, the most picks correct was actually 2 different people who had 53 picks correct. Ted Adams, who had 134 points correct. The big mistake for Ted was he had Lightning Rod winning the Wood and getting knocked out in the semifinals. That hurt Ted quite a bit. And then coming in second place is Mackenzie K, who had 149 points. She also had 53 picks correct, so congratulations to Ted and Mackenzie for having the most number of picks correctly selected. Joseph, though, with more points. What kind of did Mackenzie in there is she only had one. I think she had Lightning Rod in the finals against Voyage. So that was That was kind of the big mistake there. So Joseph coming in at first, Mackenzie number 2, Ben Zartler in third, Tristan in fourth, Brandon Bargo in fifth, Ted Adams in sixth. Maverick Rob, a respectable showing at number 8.
Finally.
Yeah, finally coming in. And I'll tell you what, we talked about it. Had Expedition G-Force won, Maverick Rob would have been our champion. So, so close, so far.
So close, but still so far away.
That's right. Let's go down the list and pick out some of our favorite folks who have been longtime staples of this contest, shall we? Adam the Beard Man coming in at number 14. Let's see here. What a Dick coming in at 31st. David Hayner, who we talked about, if El Toro and Expedition G-Force, he had a shot at being the champion, had both of those wrong. He ends up all the way down in 33rd. Coaster Crazy Aunt Sue at 34. John Fitch, my favorite Mystic Timbers ride operator, letting me sit in the back seat whenever I want. Number 36. A respectable showing there for John. Matt from Yorkshire, 44. Brian Lamb, 45th. Last year's champion, Nicholas Gregot, coming in at number 48. So not a strong showing for Nick this year. Maybe next year he'll return. Rocco coming in at, let's see. Hold on, let me scroll down. 56 for Rocco. Rolly Coaster down at 59. Not a strong showing for Rolly Coaster this year. Bedholm coming in at number 64. Water Parker, 65. That was his real bracket. Which I'll get to that in a second. Let's see. Jenny Fiedler, former champion, 75th. Jim Winslet, 77th. Jeff Goodman, 79. Let's see. I think that's just about it here. And the award for last place goes to Harrison Schneider. And Harrison, a special congratulations, because our friend Water Parker submitted a second bracket where the entire steel bracket was water slides and he had no rides correct, and that was second to last. Harrison, you lost to someone who filled out a fake bracket. So that is a special feat. Congratulations, Harrison. And we're just having fun. This is just a fun little thing here. But congratulations to Harrison on coming in 105th place this year. Spectacular. But again, we've always been in the 70s, so to have over 100 people fill out brackets is really, really cool. So much support, so much participation. This is so much fun.
Another fine year comes to a close here at the Thrilling 32.
And our 2 rides won. Okay.
Well, there you go. 2 fine rides as champions here for the Thrilling 32 and the Ride Warrior Choice Awards. 2 great lists. A record number of participants in both the Ride Warrior Choice Awards and record number of participants in the Bracket Challenge. But Danny, before we go here,
what's the fine prize for Joseph?
A fine prize of, you've seen these ones already. The 3 posters that Joseph will be receiving here in the mail. Of our great art prints. But Danny, I'd like to take this time to reveal the next set.
Yes, the Thrilling 32 Championship and the Ride Warrior Choice Awards Championship theme set.
So we already knew the Cedar Point one, and this is the fine art pick that we have.
Oh, I like that.
Actually, the 3 record breakers right there. So the 200, 300, and 400-foot record breakers.
Look at that. That's cool. I like that one.
Set there. So a little bit darker, won't stick out on your wall if you like that kind of thing. So let's get to our champions then.
2 fine photographs, by the way.
And we always like to start with the wood, so we'll start with the wood here to continue that trend. And this one, a little bit of artistic pick that a photo was taken on your Lift Hill walk at Hollywood Nights last year.
Yep. I was able to get down, on the little walkway there and crouch down and take an up close pic of the track there. And we were going through our photos a couple weeks ago, deciding which voyage photo to pick. And we actually decided to go a little different route here. we figure there's only a few chances to get shots like this on some of these rides. So we thought we'd go with a little bit of a more rustic feel here and get an up-close track shot of the Voyage.
And this photo has so much detail to it. And I know that this video is not doing this photo justice.
Yeah, the wood grains and the chain. I mean, that looks really cool.
It's a really unique photo, and it's one for just coaster fans in general, I think. I don't even think you need to be a Voyage fan per se to really enjoy this picture.
You could tell someone that's El Toro, and unless they're a real hardcore nerd, they wouldn't really know.
And then the last one, the Steel Champion. If you like bright colors and you like pink coasters, this one's for you here.
That is a fine photograph. And again, another one that I got to take on a special walk back, courtesy of coaster-net.com and their Carowinds meetup last year. We actually got a morning tour of Fury 325 where we had the chance to walk down into the restricted area underneath the first drop, and we were able to get some very unique camera angles of that first drop. And we wanted to do a vertically oriented one too, because we haven't done that yet. So I was able to take a nice vertically oriented picture of the lift hill there, and you did a great job putting that through some filters and cleaning that up and giving it the pink background. I think that looks really, really cool. So a good job out of you.
So we'll have those up on the website very soon. And though there will be a little bit of overlap here, that if you want the first set and the second set, we're going to have a 6-poster option for you on the website so that you can at least save on shipping a little bit. So, if you want these posters, I love them. I've heard nothing but good responses, from the people.
And we're selling them. They are selling.
They are. And everyone seems to love them, and they're hanging them up on their walls, framing them. Obviously, they come in laminate and in the matte format as well. So those are options that you can decide upon later on.
And if you run out of room on your wall, put them on your ceiling so you can wake up to see Voyage's lift hill every morning if you want.
Once again, thank you so much. Without you guys,
a round of applause for the audience and the supporters here. Just fantastic.
That I'll be honest, our numbers for people who have been watching this show for the number of minutes watched has been stronger than any other year. So thank you for watching each and every show. Thank you for participating in both the poll and in the bracket challenge. Without you guys, there is no Ride Warrior Choice Awards. So the minute you guys stop voting is the minute we stop doing it. So we'll continue to do it and make it fun as a great way to reveal the top 50 steel and wood coasters here in the world.
Yeah, and give us feedback if there's stuff you like or don't like. Let us know what you like and don't like about what we've done with the poll and the Thrilling 32 here. Not about the results that, you're not going to change those.
Danny, there might not be enough space on the internet for that. So.
Well, yeah, I know. But, with the Ride Warrior Choice Awards, we asked people as we were creating the ballot this year, we said, what are some ideas for different categories you want to see people vote? Like the best food. That came right from some people from the Facebook group. There is a Facebook group. There's about 500 people in there. You join that, you get all the updates right away. It's Ride Warrior Thrilling 32 and Ride Warrior Choice Awards on Facebook. You'll find it. Almost 500 people in there. We asked questions in there. The favorite coaster manufacturer question came from someone in there. That's something people wanted to vote on, and that's something people wanted to see. And we did a lot of teaser campaigns leading up to the selection show in there. A lot of fun in that group too. And, we're in a bunch of other groups as well. But, spread the word. That's the message here is this grows because word of mouth. And, Andy and I are probably two of the best at talking. So, so spread the word. That's all we can say. And, the other thing we can say is thank you for the support. And, it's a lot of fun to sit here and do this every year. And can't wait till next year.
So as always, thank you for joining us here on the Thrilling 32. I'm, of course, Andrew Barczyk from Chicago, Illinois.
And Danny Miller from Binghamton, New York.
And as always, right on, Ride Warriors.
Thanks, guys.
And for God's sakes, vote for Raptor next year.
That's what you did.
Seriously.
Oh, man. Thanks, guys. See you next year.